Here we go. So, Chris, this is a very, very beautiful facility. Very big, very nice. I know it takes like a lot of work. What was like, what inspired you to do this?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I started my career at GE. And when I first started at GE, they said you have to go to our corporate university, which was called Crotonville. And when I went to Crotonville, it was really a place where all citizens from the company went to take courses, to learn, but more importantly, to connect with each other. So you would meet GE employees from Asia, GE employees from South America, from all over the United States. And the learning was important, but it was really special to be able to find other professionals that were from all corners of the world that you could learn from, that you could hear about their experiences and just grow together through that and also network. So when I decided to start my own leadership development company called Connected Approach, which is a separate business from the Leadership Center, I started having more experiences with um, companies and clients that were looking for space where they could have a leadership center for, once again, places where their employees could learn, but also where they're a place where their employees could connect. So most companies don't have their own leadership center facility. And so I started to look for one. And I started looking all over the Hartford area and started actually by looking at churches that were for sale, like Catholic churches, because there are so many churches that are now for sale. And I would look at them and I'd say, wow, that could be a leadership center. But ultimately, that didn't work out. And then I found this property in Farmington, large enough facility. It's a 10,000 square foot facility that we are in right now, but the building itself is actually 35,000 square feet.
Wow.
And then the property is 20 acres. So we have kind of this beautiful setting, and we'll take a look at some of my favorite spots in a minute to show you some of the beauty here. And then we also have access to the Farmington River. So we have a quarter-mile access to the Farmington River. And so to just think about what we've proven now with the Leadership Center facility that we'll walk through, but then also to be able to take people outside and for people to start to learn and share experiences outside in addition to inside. That was kind of both the inspiration and then also the decision to sort of take the leap.
Very nice, interesting. I know you have a long, strong story journey, plotting, planning. I gotta ask, what was your first plot or plan, if you can remember, that you wrote down the first step? Like, I got to do this first.
Oh, the first step. It's so interesting. The courage to look like online, so just like homes.com is like, for residential homes, there are real estate listings for commercial properties, LoopNet and Crexy. And so after seeing some buildings just on my own, I was like, okay, let me just take a look at what's out there. And in doing that, found this place. I actually just saw a like a drone cutout of this property before even seeing it. And then really having the courage to identify a commercial broker to actually step inside, because if I never stepped inside and I just kept flipping, I would have never felt the place. And then I would have never gone the next step, which is like, okay, how do I go one step further and one step further? So the very first step was having the courage to actually look for property and then physically putting my feet on the ground in this property. And it was convinced my wife to come and check it out with me. And it was interesting because it was a very quiet ride home afterwards because we both felt like, man, this is really perfect. Like even coming through the front doors, and there's a perfect little lobby, and then there are training rooms and breakout rooms, and there's this large space for plenary sessions. So all of this was here. I mean, yeah, we added a couple of the doors, etc., but it was kind of just like this. And so we were like, oh boy, this makes it even harder.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Let's check out this little
yeah, yeah,
area.
yeah. So on for some of our training rooms, we've named them after leadership birds. So we saw cardinal and hawk. And one of the reasons we named them after leadership birds was because there were birds living in the wall of one of the training rooms we moved in. Of course, we safely removed them and patched up the wood there, but we've kind of made that our theme. So this is called the Nest. So the Nest here is our coffee and snack area where we make sure we have uh, filled to the brim, sort of an Italian coffee maker for all of
Fancy,
our
fancy.
guests. Yeah, yeah, way fancy. And then just making sure that we have, sodas and waters for our guests all day, and then all day snacks. Because if people are here all day, we want them to be able to feel like it's home. Like we call it kind of corporate cozy. It's like we want them to be able to stand up and get a snack and go back into the plenary session. So that's the Nest, and that's our coffee and all day snack area. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this is just the beginning of the building too.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And of course, my favorite spot, in addition to Sage Space, where we have all of our sessions. And as I said, we just completed a session of about 60 people the other day with Leadership Greater Hartford. Um, Love being able to facilitate learning and connection in this room. So this is certainly one of my favorite spots. But the really special place is upstairs called the Visionary Suite. So let me take you
Fancy, fancy, fancy.
up there.
This is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And this is what we call, as I said, the Visionary Suite. And it's really intended to be a separate space for teams to gather, whether it's at lunch or during a break or an end of day reception. Sometimes teams come and they want to do a team facilitated experience, and so we can move the high tops out and sort of allow this to be a place where they might do a team experience together, team bonding type of exercises. And sometimes we, from Connected Approach, facilitate that, but other times teams bring in their own facilitator, their own consultant, and so they have the room to move around. And what's great about it is it's a full kitchen. Once again, we make sure the fridge is stocked with all the right sodas and seltzers and waters. And then, of course, like this deck out here overlooks the property. And especially this time of year, it just gives such a nice break to the day.
Yeah, this is nice. This is like luxury, the luxury level.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And what we keep telling people is that hotel conference rooms are great, banquet facilities are great, but they're really reserved for different things than learning, connecting, growing. Um, our clients come to the Leadership Center to make difficult decisions. And so if you're just having a regular meeting and you're just sort of a status update, that's not why you'd come here. But if you have to make difficult decisions, and if you really want to move something forward for your business, for your organization, for your association, that's why you come here. And to make people feel special.
Right.
Since the pandemic, so many teams have gone hybrid, they've gone virtual altogether. But if you're a team that no longer has an office and you have to get together once a quarter, twice a year, come here. We'll cater your breakfast, your lunch, your reception, and then you can have an end of the day reception. And we bring the tables out here and just hang out together as a team here and snap photos and just have a great time. Um, it really warms my heart when we have teams on site. I call it on campus, but on site, and I can tell that it's hard. Like they're having the hardest conversations, but they're doing so in an environment where they feel like it's safe, where they feel like it's casual, and like there's just something about making a decision with your boss or your teammates where you're together and you feel comfortable and you're not at work, you're not sort of behind, your boss isn't behind the desk. Very different
Yeah.
vibe, very different dynamic. Here you can have a really critical conversation up here in these chairs or out on this deck, and it can just be digested a little bit better, and people can feel like they're on a better footing together if they're doing it at the Leadership Center. So
Yeah.
yeah.
This is a spot like a big business comes. They're doing like a job training.
Oh yes, perfect spot for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Intern orientations, new hire employee orientations, where you just feel like it's a perfect third space for for your business. Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if you are like a big small business in Connecticut, you got to come here.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Be taken
Nice.
back in. Yeah.
They got the roof. This is beautiful.
And I have to show you this fridge is actually stocked to the gills. Yeah. I make sure that my OCD comes in handy.
And one more question before we wrap up part one.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, when you first brought this idea to your wife, now did she say, did she give you that crazy response, or she was like, let's see, this is a big building, you know?
Man, that's the hardest question to answer. So, oh, kind of right in between. So,
Both.
yeah, it was like right in between because it, it was crazy. And it still may be crazy. Like, you know, technically, this is a office space, right? We're not using it for sort of like for employees to come in every day and come to work here, but it's a commercial space. And since COVID, commercial space is, something that's taken a bit of a dip. That said, when we talked about the vision and the fact that as as I mentioned, as teams are less connected, they can be connected here and can do their work here while then going off to their virtual work or their hybrid work. And seeing the reception we received by our clients, she really dove right in to helping me because the thing I'll tell you, every single element of this business, of the physical plant, like of the leadership center, she actually designed. So from the floors to the countertops to the decorations to all the colors, it was her. So while she said, "I think you're crazy," you know, let me help you so that you're less crazy,
Yeah,
or that you can be crazy successful. So yeah, so a little bit of both. Yeah,
she
yeah.
did a good job.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one more question before we end part one. When you come here and you have like a busy day, you have a couple meetings, um, people rented out the space. What's one thing you tell yourself before you start the
Oh my goodness, it's really happening.
day?
That's really what I tell myself. It's really happening because when we first purchased the building, I did have that moment, more than maybe a moment, where I think we closed on a Thursday, and on Saturday I was walking around the property like, oh my goodness, this is a huge undertaking, and I see it, but are others going to see it? And so when I have a group on site, whether it's a small business seminar or it's an employee training or it's like an employee celebration event, we've had receptions up here like that. I'll actually take a moment out there and I'll just kind of like take a moment to myself because I also get lost in the day. Even when people are coming, I'm sort of thinking to myself, is everything stocked? Is the staff ready? Do we know exactly when they're breaking for lunch or what's going on here? And to just take a moment and say, this is exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I asked for, and it's happening. Like one of the things I keep saying to myself is little by little. It's not going to happen all at once. No one's going to land in a helipad I don't have yet and walk right in. Although I do have plans for the helipad, and walk right in. So it's like, hey, little by little, like each day that we have an event, it's a special thing. And so I kind of tell myself, oh my goodness, it's really happening.
Right. So you cherish every moment. You don't belittle one. Everything's big.
Oh
Every
my,
opportunity.
and I'm sure you could tell me same thing with you. Like with each interview you do, with each podcast you do, and of course, consistency is so huge and yet so elusive to keep beating that drum on a consistent basis. So absolutely, it's all big. And the other thing I try to think about is I don't want to be stressed or not appreciating every single step and every single little win, little or big win, because like at some point it will be over. Now, hopefully, over means in 40 years it's the end of my journey and I'm handing the keys off to someone else or whatever, I would be 90 at that point. So, I mean, maybe 40 years is a long time, but like, but at some point, all of this, our lives, our professions, our passions will be over. And I don't want to waste a minute. And there's a lot of stress. So I have to keep bringing myself back to the present, but forgetting that and saying like, well, I got one today, but I really need 5 more this week. It's like, hey, just enjoy it. It's just enjoy it. So I try to enjoy it as best I can and as most I can because like we all know the reminders of our lives that make it so precious, and so it's like just enjoy it. Maybe today is the best we get.
Right.
Maybe it's the best we get or last week, as I said, Leadership Greater Hartford. Maybe it's the best program I'm ever going to have here, and that partnership with Leadership Greater Hartford is wonderful. And it's like maybe that's it, and that's still pretty good. I always think about people that had like one moment. I was an extra once in a movie, and like it was like my one moment. I'm kind of like on screen for like 3 seconds behind Adam Sandler, and I'm like, pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good, right? And so you think to yourself, or you talk to someone who's like, hey, I played semi-professional baseball for 2 at-bats, and you're like, 2 at-bats is pretty good. Like it's pretty good. Most of us don't get 2 at-bats semi-professional. So it's like maybe all I'm getting to is what I'm doing now. And oh man, at least I went for it.
Right.
At least I went for it. Like my 80-year-old self is definitely going to look back at this time and be like, you went for it.
Yeah.
Like whether it ends in some sort of facilitated buyout by Amazon, where I'm on the yacht with Bezos in the middle of the Mediterranean, or something much less than that. I'm going for it.
Right.
You're going for it. It's like at some point you have to, no pun intended, tip your cap to the fact that you at least went for it. Once in your life, you went for all the way for it. And then it's like, who knows? Process over outcomes, right? I can't say what the outcome will be, but man, I can work the process the best I can. Try to make sure that when Rome shows up, it's clean and we got everything ticking tied and we're working through the best we can to highlight our business. But I could go on forever, but
Good one. That was a good one.
yeah.
Well, we got part 2 coming. Rome Show podcast. Chris, host to Go Rome, and stay tuned for part 2.